It's Mike, NoStressMike.com. We're now working on Charlie 4. I guess you can tell Charlie impressed me a lot. Let's see, I was with them 4 or 5 days. Really, it's hard for me to keep track of days. But anyway, um, so uh, I we both would watch each other's habits. I say he did the meditation, crossed his legs and did all that kind of stuff. He he would explain things to me. He was um, he wasn't as good. Uh, I had another guy. Remember, I said with the herbs, he could speak English. I liked him in the way of translating, not so much the translating, but he was. If I asked him a question, he would. Uh, I didn't have to ask each point. He'd tell the whole story. Like I said, when I asked him how old, how come there's all new cars? Well, then he explained, in 15 years, the cars are destroyed. So that's why you don't get any of that. And then you can keep the car another 2 or 3 years, something like that, but it has to go through an inspection every 6 months um, to keep it after that. And then the cost, and then we talked about the cost of the car. When you get to the end, there's no value left to the car. And we so he would fully explain things. Charlie didn't fully explain things, so I didn't really have to squeeze it out of him, but he didn't understand my curious mind. Not like the other guy knew that I was, and the other guy's name was Lamar, and it's a Chinese name. And the only reason I kind of half I remember that because Ma and Lamar, but it's not spelled the same way. But anyway, but Charlie would tell me. He wouldn't try to hide things from me, and that's I talked about when I was in Cuba. You had to have a special permit to talk to tourists because you can only say certain things. That's why it's hard to get any information what's going on in Cuba. And here, normally, like I say, if people can speak English, more than likely their mind is more open and willing to talk. So they're more willing to talk. They're not so paranoid that they're worried about what they're going to say. And like I say, Charlie was good. I could ask him stuff, and like I say, I'm all the time. I got lots of things to ask, but I don't remember what they are. It's when we're doing things, I will see something, I'll ask about that, and that's when we talk about it. And then in the evenings when we get done, I say we'd be in our room and we would brainstorm. Um, we would pick each other's minds, how the other person is thinking, what's the goals, what's this type of stuff. So it was interesting. Now, for me, before I go to bed at night, before I go to sleep, I think of everything I need to do the day before. I set goals for the next day. I've got long-term goals, but each day I've got short-term things that I got to get done that day to reach that long-term goal. Some of the things, if I get done tomorrow, good. If not, I can get it done the next day or the next week. But I already know. I got all this figured out before I go to sleep at night. And now the one thing about Charlie is he kept things open, and it was hard to try to find out. Okay, what we're going to do tomorrow? Are we going to leave tomorrow? We're going to stay here for another night? How we're going to? Well, we'll see what's going to happen tomorrow. So so we did things that was we started doing things. We'd have fun, and so we ended up staying at the place with all the mountains. We ended up staying there, like say 3 days. It's supposed to be overnight. We ended up there 3 days, and that's when I realized I didn't have enough time to go to Hong Kong and come back. So then I had to catch a bullet train and come back, and I left Charlie. He had to drive the rest of the way back. But But anyway, one of the things he enjoys doing, like I said, I talked about the meditation. When we're in the place with all the mountains, last time he was there was 5 years ago, and he tried to buy a mountain there 5 years ago, and it had caves. Oh, these mountains, you'll see the picture. They have caves in these mountains, or yeah, caves in these mountains, and he wanted to live in there. Like I say, in his mindset, he wants to be like a Buddhist monk. You know, he doesn't. He likes being by himself, and so that's so. And he says, "Well, you're going to come live with me if I get a cave." And I said, "Charlie, I'm a people person. There's no way I'm going to live in a cave. No way. I don't mind coming to visit you, but I'm not going to live there." And in between all these mountains was water. And another thing he does is fishes. He does fishing, and they do fishing is really different in China than what they do in the United States. I don't fish. I see people fish in the United States. I see them fish here. So anyway, I said, well, we're not going to do that. And then, like I say, he got a stove out. He made a pot of soup, and oh man, I tell you, yeah, he eats like a monk. Boy, I'll tell you, that's when I made the video about food is becoming a problem, or something like that. That's why I made that video. Man, at that time I was starving to death. And the food was not on my diet. I like soup, but this guy, he ate soup, and they throw they chop up a chicken and throw a chicken in, and they kill the chicken and then chop it up and throw it in the pot and boil it, and they'd call that a meal. I don't eat that much meat, and chicken. I don't eat chicken skin, chicken fat, a lot of stuff like that. I'm not a chicken kind of guy. I'm a beef from Oklahoma, and at the same time, I don't eat a lot of beef. I got too old to eat beef. I didn't figure out. For me, it doesn't digest all that good, so I cut back on meat. And so Charlie halfway lives his life as a Buddhist monk. He reads a lot, and I've mentioned before how I admire people that read. Why? Because I'm dyslexic, and I can't. It's very, very difficult for me to read. Very difficult. That's why it's shocking that I wrote 5 books, and even those books took me over a day for each page. But I did that when I was watching over my wife. She was sick the last few years we were married, and I couldn't leave her side. So that's what I did when I was doing that. But he reads a lot, and he reads a lot of. I guess Buddha wrote a lot of books. And so he reads these books, and that's what he does. And he reads lots of books, lots of stuff. And so he was well-rounded. Like I say, I could ask him questions without him getting mad. Because a lot of people get mad that I ask a lot of questions. Why? I can't read. And now we're back to here. When I'm seeing so much strange stuff, I'm getting overwhelmed with what I see in the way of just seeing things. I see the way they manufacture, the way they farm, the way they fish, the way people act, and I see this stuff, and I've got to, figure out what it is that I'm seeing and make sense of that. And like I say, I've been overwhelmed with all this information coming in that way. And then I get around somebody like Charlie, that throws more stuff at me, and he asks me questions, makes me think about stuff I don't normally think about. Kind of like what I do on my videos. Normally you don't think about this kind of stuff. Now I make you think about it, and that's what he does. He makes me think about it. And but like I say, I had a lot of fun with him. I was hoping to get to see his wife and his daughter, And but like I say, I just didn't have enough time to get over there. But now I've got to evaluate all the stuff that I learned from Charlie and try to adapt it to my lifestyle. One of the funny things was the hat. You see, he's got that funny hat, and he told me when we first met. I mean, on the first road trip we were together, he said that I'm a first class person, and he judges people by the class. He puts low, medium, and high class. How you act, it's a big thing. Losing face, losing face makes you embarrassing people or embarrassing yourself. It's a very big thing for Charlie, and so he was concerned that my hat, I can get a better looking hat, and so I had to explain to him my hat is one of my tactics. And then as the trip went on, he would see me take my hat off. See, he can't take his hat off, he can put his hat. So he wears his hat all the time. I take my hat off when I meet people, take my hat off when I go inside, and people notice that. And he notices it. He was watching people, because people would see me, and I'd take my goofy hat, and I'd put it to my heart, and nice, ni hao, hello. So I'm paying respect to people. He thought that was amazing that I could take that goofy looking hat and do things. He didn't realize the other. I remember I've got videos talking about how to use a hat in combat, and we didn't talk about that. So, but like I say, Charlie and I, we kind of we did a lot for each other. And he was 50 years old, and he stopped working. Oh, he all the time teases me because neither one of us have a job, and that's why we go any place we want to go. We're not on any schedule. I wake up about 7:30. He wakes up about 9, and like I say, we don't have a job, and so that's what he's always saying. Well, if we had a job, I guess we'd have to eat at a certain time, go to bed at a certain time, go someplace at a certain time. So. Because I said, I have no home, I have no money, I have no job. And Chinese think about that. And they always ask me, how do you do that? Anybody else, they always think, man, he's a loser, low class, doesn't have a job, doesn't have a home, doesn't have any money. And, but the Chinese, so far, I think just about every Chinese person that I say that to, they always smile because they know there's more to it. This is Mike, NoStressMike.com.